Hey everybody, this is Brandon Veller with Freedom Enneagram Coaching. Thank you so much for watching today. If you're brand new to Freedom Enneagram Coaching or to the Enneagram, I want to encourage you to go check out my Season 1 playlist. It's an introduction to who I am and what we do here, and to the 3 triads and the 9 types of the Enneagram. I'd also love it if you would subscribe so that you can get each new episode of FEC right away. I'm going to continue to try to post every Tuesday. If you're more of an audio person, or if you just want to hear this content again or in a different way, you can find the Freedom Enneagram podcast anywhere that you find podcasts. And finally, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Freedom Enneagram Coaching. I try to post some longer form writing and memes, as well as pushing these videos and podcasts out. And I would so appreciate it if you would go like and follow me there. You can leave me your Enneagram questions and comments here or on Facebook or Instagram, and I will do my best to answer them. All right, let's get started. This is episode 1 of season 2 of Freedom Enneagram Coaching. These next 9 videos will be deeper dives into the Enneagram types. I'm going to discuss how the wings affect each type and how the arrows and lines make a type look like and act like another when they're in stress or in health. And I'm also going to try to look at the core motivations in much greater detail. So this week, before we jump into looking at type 8, I want to talk about what I mean by wings, lines and arrows, and core motivations. If you think about the image of the Enneagram, each Enneagram type has another type on each side, one to the right, one to the left, like wings. If you've never seen the diagram, imagine a circle with the numbers 1 through 9 written around it, 9 at the top. And you can see this back in episode 4 called the 3 triads. And I'll also include a link to an example in the show notes, or just go Google Enneagram diagram and you'll see it. So thinking of that circle with the 9 at the top, to the left would be the 8, and to the right would be type 1. These other types are known as the wings. Each person has a main type, but the 2 types on either side, their wings, help to color and influence that type. So for example, I'm a type 2. So the wings on a 2 are 1 and 3. This means I can be a type 2 wing 1, or I can be a type 2 wing 3. So note this, you have both wings. But one will normally be more dominant than the other. But you can still access parts of the less dominant wing as well. So as a type 2 wing 1, I'm still a type 2, but I'm going to see the world and act a little differently than a type 2 wing 3. A type 2 is a helper. They love to serve and take care of others. If they have a dominant 1 wing, their loving service is going to also be concerned with being right, doing the right thing, making sure that things are right. They tend to be a little more self-critical and judgmental. If the 3 wing is dominant, they'll still be a helper, but they may be more outgoing and charming, making sure that their helping is adding to their reputation as a helper. They want to be the best at helping, at serving, at taking care of others, and they want to be known for it. So in these examples, the 2 wings of the type 2 help influence or color that main type. This is part of the reason why all Enneagram types aren't identical, why you can't just find one type 2 and have them look, they're not exactly like all other type 2s. It's because of these wings. So another aspect of the Enneagram that I want to discuss this season are the lines and arrows. This is best understood when looking at that diagram, so make sure to check out the show notes. But I'll try to describe this as best as I can. There are 9 distinct Enneagram types, and each person is going to have one main type. But every type can also access parts of the other types. So, for example, as a type 2, I can also be a lot like a type 5 at times, or a type 7, and so on. So more than this basic connection to the other types, each type is directly connected via these lines and arrows to 2 other types. The lines and arrows signify the movement toward the other types that a person has when they are acting or reacting out of stress and out of health. So, as I've said, my main type is a type 2. When I'm at my best, acting and reacting from a place of health, I take on some of the good characteristics of a type 4. Like the type 4, I'm able to access my feelings, to actually feel them, to process them. I'm in touch with what I feel rather than just ignoring them and focusing on the rest of the world as I usually would. And since I'm in touch with my feelings, I can feel them, and that lets me be at my creative best. Now, when I'm reacting in stress in unhealthy ways, I can take on some of the more negative characteristics of type 8. I can lead with anger, but not the righteous anger at an injustice or something that needs to be fixed, but more of a self-righteous, harmful anger at not getting my own needs met. I can be aggressive and brash and very unlike my usual loving self. Now, this fact is what solidified my interest in the Enneagram. I always wondered how I could sometimes be such a good, nice, loving guy. Like, I took care of my people and I took care of them well. Um, I liked serving and helping others and like going that extra distance to make sure that people were okay. And I mean, that was just really who I was. And I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was doing it. So it was like, hey, look at me. I'm the nice guy. It just was, oh, there's a need. Let me fix it. Let me help. But then I could sometimes get so angry, so aggressive, sometimes at the drop of a hat. And I always wondered what was wrong with me. Like, do I have anger issues? Am I mentally unstable that I can just flip flop so quickly and be so different? So, this movement from the loving 2 to the aggressive anger of an 8 really opened my eyes. Now, this isn't an excuse for me to continue to act like that. Now that I know this, I can't just say when I go from being the nice, loving helper guy to being the angry, aggressive jerk guy, like, well, sorry, I'm a 2, just acting like an 8. I can't use this to justify those actions when I'm hurt or when I don't get my needs met. But now that I know this about myself, I can be aware when I start to go that direction, and I can try to take a step back and gain some control and like use this Enneagram language to, tell my wife, hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm acting like this. I think I'm, reacting because I'm not getting something or like I need to take a moment. She's even pointed out, I'm seeing a lot of 8 reaction right here. Is there something you need or you need to talk about? The Enneagram hasn't fixed everything, but it's given us a different way to communicate and given me a different way to understand myself. And so because of these lines and connections, I can see why some of these reactions happen. Okay, so just like that example, each of the 9 types has a connection to 2 other types that can influence in the same way when they're in a stressful situation or when they're reacting out of health. The last aspect of each type that I want to explain before we start looking at each individual type are the core motivations. And I think this is the most important piece of the Enneagram. Each type is motivated by something that they desire and something that they don't. I'm going to refer to these as the core desire and the core fear. Each type has something that they deeply desire. And this is a motivator, an internal reason and a drive for the way that they act and react. Each type has something also that they deeply and desperately want to avoid. This too is a motivator, reason, and drive for the way they act and react. Now, again, using type 2 as an example, the 2's core fear is that they are unloved and unlovable, that they're unwanted. They desperately want to be loved and wanted. This is their core desire. So the type 2's helpful service, their selflessness, is actually rooted, deeply rooted in their desire to be loved. They are afraid that if they don't put themselves last and everyone else first, that they won't be loved and wanted. Because to them, Why would anyone want or love them unless they're serving others? So much of the why behind the what of each type, the reasons behind their behaviors and attitudes, comes back to these core desires and fears. The core motivations are frequently unknown to the person until one does that personal inner work necessary to uncover who they are and understand why they are that way. Until you do Enneagram study and work, these core desires and fears are often hidden, but hidden from understanding, not from influence. You may not realize what you're desiring and what you're fearing, but your actions, your thoughts, your feelings are absolutely being influenced by these core motivations. So, as we move forward, we're going to look at each type and we're going to see how the wings, the lines and arrows, and the specific core motivations influence that type. I want to thank everyone for watching. I appreciate your time, your attention, and your comments. As always, make sure to subscribe here and then go follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Send me questions there. If you're interested in doing any one-on-one or small group coaching with a church, a school, a business, a family, you can DM me on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me at freedomenneagramcoaching@gmail.com. That was Freedom Enneagram Coaching, all one word, @gmail. This is Freedom Enneagram Coaching. I'm Brandon Veller, and my goal is to help you discover who you are, to uncover who you were meant to be, and to live free. See ya.